In early April, DWR reached out to the Fresno Irrigation District to see what kind of projects might be available to take additional floodwater off the Kings River and increase recharge capabilities in the Tulare Lake area. This new emergency funding available from the DWR is being used to fund the operation of a temporary pump that's installed at a Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control District basin just outside the city limits. Does not currently have a physical permanent intertie with our canal. And what this pump is doing is pumping around 5 cubic feet per second out of our canal into this basin. And not only are we taking available water off the Kings River and reducing the floodwater flows down below our head gates on the river, we're also doing additional groundwater recharge that would otherwise not be possible in here because the canal is not intertied with the basin.
In a year like 2023, Fresno Irrigation District, in coordination with its partners, the Fresno Metropolitan Flood Control District, the City of Fresno, the City of Clovis, has the ability to put 200,000 acre-feet of water into the underground, utilizing existing facilities, doing projects like the temporary pump projects, and it will go a long way in our road to sustainability as we work towards sustainable groundwater conditions.
To give everyone some perspective on how much surface water there is compared to groundwater in this state, today we have about the capacity to hold 50 million acre-feet of water in the reservoirs within the state of California, according to the DWR. However, we can store close to 1 billion acre-feet of water in the underground. 50 million versus 1 billion. So there's a lot of groundwater compared to the amount of surface water that we have to work with. One of the big advantages of constructing groundwater recharge basins instead of building dams is that they can be constructed much quicker and at lower costs. Groundwater recharge basin, once you've acquired the land, can start construction within 6 or 12 months and completion within a year of buying the land. So the Fresno Irrigation District has been doing groundwater recharge for decades and decades. We own just under 900 acres of recharge basins. And what we use those for is taking available surface water that comes out of the rivers, comes from storms and floodwaters, route them and put them in these basically holes in the ground. And so once this water goes from our canals into these groundwater basins, the water will percolate and sink into the ground and eventually recharge the aquifer down below that all of our wells are pumping out of, whether it's for cities or farms or rural residential homes.
Fresno Irrigation District has been doing recharge for many years, and on a year like this, they are working every single angle possible to bring the maximum amount of water into the region for groundwater recharge benefits. And these projects are an example of the outside-of-the-box thinking that Fresno Irrigation District is doing to maximize recharge potential given the amount of water that we've had. In coordination with the State Department of Water Resources, they've been able to bring in resources that otherwise would not be available to them so that they can do projects in advance of when they were planned because there's potential recharge at those particular locations. The temporary pumps that are being installed for groundwater recharge at existing basins, they're already constructed, they're just not intertight. Allowing the temporary pump and getting that water into that basin provides a recharge benefit and utilizes the water available, meanwhile relieving the burden and the amount of water that's flowing down into the Tulare Lake region.
So while 2023 is one of the wettest years on record, if not the wettest year on record, we know that drier years are coming ahead of us. Might be next year or a couple of years later. So we need to really take advantage of all the surface water, the flood water, storm water that was available to us in a year like this, put it in recharge basins to replenish our aquifer, because it's in these dry years that we need to rely on our groundwater supply because the surface water simply is not available.